Hey, listen, the cold weather snap really screwed some people up. I don't know if you saw there was a cold weather snap. And I don't know if you saw my favorite news person. Hey, there's a polar vortex coming over the Midwest. Who do you think's responsible? I don't know, maybe.
And it is like negative 50 degrees in the Dakotas right now. What would happen if Russia killed the power in Fargo today?
I love how they deplatformed Alex Jones and Rachel Maddow was like, I'll take that baton. Conspiracies every night, all night.
Oh, Alex Jones been deplatformed. We got rid of that crazy conspiracy there's Rachel Maddow, hold my beer.
Oh no. You have been unplugged.
Oh, I've been unplugged. So let's play.
The Russians shut off the computer.
Oh my God. Fucking right after I talked to Kami. So let's want to hear that again because I do it.
And it is like negative 50 degrees in the Dakotas right now. What would happen if Russia killed the power in Fargo today?
Wow, what if Mexicans and MS-13 came over and gang raped your grandma on Christmas Day?
It is Christmas right now. I'm not making this up.
Well, you know, these temperatures look awful similar to what temperature it is in Moscow right fucking now.
This is Russian weather. Boy, how much Russian vodka do you have to drink to watch this show?
If you convert those numbers to letters, it spells Putin's dick across America. It does.
Well, Rachel Maddow should just put on a leather jacket and a pair of skis at this point, am I right? And jump that fucking shark, baby, okay? Russiagate has officially jumped the shark, is it not? Okay, I'm sorry.
Why the gay colors?
What if a Muslim terrorist wants to blow up buildings in America, and what if they do it on a really cold day and you have to stand outside because the building is destroyed and you just cranked up your heat to 86 so you're wearing shorts? What happens then?
What if the earth was collapsing and your advertisers are the oil and military lobby so you can't talk about why it's really happening? What about that?
What if the Russians cut the power while you were watching porn right before you came, and then you had blue balls forever?
Oh, that is real.
What if the Russians cut the power right in the middle of the shower, and then you had soap in your eyes, and then the water got cold because they killed the fuck up? Then you're gonna have cold soapy eyes. She has more to say. This is okay.
All right, what would happen if all the natural gas lines that service Sioux Falls just poofed on the coldest day in recent memory, and it wasn't?
What would happen? What would happen? What would happen if poof? What happened if you went to bed tonight and your house just went poof? Did you ever think about that? We'll start thinking about it.
And she keeps this chart up like it's some proof of something. Like, look at those temperatures, told ya. It doesn't.
What would happen if a bunch of people didn't want a pipeline going through their native indigenous land because a white community voted to have it sidestep from it? And then what would happen if Tiger Swan was hired by those police to fucking gas and throw water at those people that just wanted drinkable water? What would happen then?
What would happen? MSNBC would not cover it.
Oh.
That's what would happen.
So what's the purple area?
Our power, whether or not to turn them back on. I mean, what would you do if you lost heat indefinitely as the act of a foreign power?
I don't know. Maybe I'd burn some wood, I guess. But you know what? Putin already fucking gathered up all the wood, I bet you. That's what Glenn Greenwald said on Twitter today. I bet you Putin already got all the wood.
It is a polar, like, vortex, right? Who owns all the cold air? It's fucking Russia, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's what they did. They always win in the bobsledding, don't they? You know what I mean? Always win in the
Yeah.
Olympic bobsled team.
Can you imagine if Russia hacked into our healthcare system and denied 30 million people healthcare or something? Could you imagine that? Russia.
Can you imagine if Russia contaminated Flint water and it's still dirty 5 years fucking later and nobody fixed it?
Fucking Russia.
Russia, god damn it.
My wife didn't come last night. Fucking Russia.
True story.
That's
True
Rachel.
story.
These are jokes. These are all jokes.
He kept saying Russia.
You know, I can't, if I don't have that Tulsi Gabbard saying I'm great thing playing, I can't come. You know that. Here we go. I think there's more to this.
On the same day, the temperature in your front yard matched the temperature in Antarctica. I mean, what would you and your family do?
I don't know. Shit our pants and vote for Hillary again? That's what we do. That's what we do. Of course. Oh my God. So Rachel is playing Mad Libs. You just insert some outside group, make up some terrible catastrophe, and then add a weird twist like Russians destroy power grid on a super cold day. Okay. Iran blows up the Super Bowl before the halftime show by Maroon 5. So where this came from. So here's the thing that's actually horrible. Even more, like that's cartoonish about Rachel, right? So that's cartoonish. But now it's when she actually becomes horrible, right? Even more horrible than scaremongering America about Russia. I mean, I thought we got past all that. We realized Russians are people too. Sting did a song about it. But Rachel's trying to ramp that back up, so we hate everything Russian. It's xenophobia, is what it is. She's doing it. She's a Rhodes Scholar. I know she knows what the fuck it is, and she's doing it anyway, right? That's how far gone she is. And where this came from, it came from the Worldwide Threat Assessment that this is from the Director of National Intelligence puts out, right? And it's from Senate Select Committee on Intelligence. That was from January 29th. And in it, they said that our power grid is susceptible to Russia and China. They said that. They've been saying that for a long time. But this is the first time they kind of declassified it. And the guy who said it, if you notice who wrote the report, it's a guy named Daniel Coates. So who is Daniel Coates? So Rachel never mentions who wrote this report. So this report was written by a guy named Daniel Coates, right? He was a senator, congressman. He was ambassador. He's been in and out of the intelligence community. He supported the 2003 Iraq invasion under the pretext of uncovering Iraq's weapons of mass destruction. And he was as an ambassador during the lead up to the Iraq war. He pressured the German government not to oppose the war, threatening worse U.S. relations with Germany if they didn't support. So this guy is a WMD guy. That's who Dan Coates is. He's a WMD guy, and even worse, he opposed the fucking Iran nuclear deal that Obama got. Remember, everybody's like, this is the thing that's going to save the world. We got to have this. And now Trump is trying to undo it. Well, this is it. And he opposed that. That's what kind of a maniac Dan fucking Coates is. And then he got appointed by Trump. So Rachel Maddow doesn't say anything like that. She goes, well, of course we shouldn't put too much weight on this because Dan Coates is a fucking liar and he led us into the Iraq war, and we should always be skeptical of our intelligence community, especially at a time right now when the only people who have a check on our power to overthrow other governments in Syria, Libya, Iraq, Iran, and now Venezuela, the only governments that have a check on the United States power is son of a bitch, Russia and China. And that's the one Dan Coates is saying we gotta fucking be worried about. Well, I think Dan Coates is a motherfucker and a liar, and Rachel Maddow never told you that. She's not even a little skeptical. She's not even I'm sure our power grids are susceptible, just like the rest of the fucking world is susceptible. You know what else Russia has? About 15,000 nuclear fucking bombs that they can explode at any time. Why would they fucking do that to our power grid, you stupid fear-mongering knucklehead? They could just explode us with nuclear bombs if they wanted to. Plus, we have nuclear bombs. If they did that to us, we'd fucking you motherfucker. So this is why Rachel Maddow sucks. This is why she's leading us into another war. She is trying to start a fucking war. And you know what she gets out of it? She gets #1 ratings, baby. She's the #1 fucking cable host. She used to do great segments about how the FBI was fucking us over, and she didn't get any ratings. Now she's doing this 24/7, and she's the #1 host, and she doesn't give a fuck. You think I'm kidding? Watch this. So watch this. So she got called out on it, right? So she got called out on it, and WikiLeaks says U.S. largest audience TV host, MSNBC's Rachel Maddow, this evening, Russia will freeze you and your family to death. So that's WikiLeaks. So Rachel, instead of taking her lumps and going, God, I went a little bit overboard today. Wow, I Glenn Becked it. She's like Glenn Beck. Remember Glenn Beck with the chalkboard?
Yeah, she's moved past the chalkboard.
Yeah.
She got a higher budget.
Yeah, Glenn Beck used to get a chalkboard and say, Muslims are coming, the Muslims are coming, and she's doing, the Russians are coming. She's exactly like Glenn Beck, and she probably has as little character. So Rachel Maddow doesn't take her lumps. What does she do? She goes, oh, you mad?
Touche.
Ha! I'm gonna lead us into World War III. Are you mad?
That's what she says. So then she knows she's taking heat for this. So then she tweets this out. She said, unclassified director of national intelligence report this week says for the first time that China and Russia can cut portions of the U.S. electrical grid or power supply at will. And again, she's saying the director of national intelligence, that guy, Dan fucking Coates, that's who it is, and he's a Trump appointee. It's amazing how much shit she won't tell you about a Trump appointee when she fucking agrees with him. Isn't that amazing? Yes, because that's what this is. We interviewed a Wall Street Journal energy reporter about it Wednesday night, which caused RT, Sputnik, and WikiLeaks to all freak out. No, that's not what caused them to freak out. It was you saying Russia is going to freeze us to death. That's what caused them to freak out. It wasn't that you had a Wall Street Journal reporter on that to spew some more bullshit, by the way. Did they still say Russia hacked the Vermont grid? Because that story is still up at the Washington Post.
Yes, it is.
That is still up. A totally bullshit story that Russia hacked the energy grid in Vermont. Completely debunked. Total fake news. Washington Post still has it up. Did they lose their Facebook page? No, they didn't lose their Facebook page. That story is still fucking up. They have an editor's note at the bottom. At the bottom of the article, it says, this article is bullshit. And they leave it up. So Rachel Maddow now wants us to rely on intelligence, the intelligence community. The intelligence community, which we just found out, an FBI guy admitted, we just saw the former director of FBI admit that it was the FBI's directive to keep progressives out of government. You saw that video I did? So now Rachel Maddow just takes anything they say uncritically. You know what that's called? That's called being a stenographer to power. That's not called being a journalist. And guess who knows that? She fucking does. So these are the people Rachel Maddow now accepts their word uncritically. People like this.
As Director Tennant has pointed out, Secretary Powell presented evidence last week that Baghdad has failed to disarm its weapons of mass destruction, willfully attempting to evade and deceive the international community. Our particular concern is that Saddam Hussein may supply terrorists with biological, chemical, or radiological material.
So these are the guy can't even make eye contact. He's lying so hard and he knows it.
And now he's the liberal hero.
Yep. And now Rachel Maddow loves this guy, and she just repeats whatever this guy or Dan Coates or anybody else in the intelligence community says whenever it lines up with her point of view. That's called a hack. A hack is unable to tell the truth unless it lines up with their already fucking preconceived view. That's what Rachel Maddow is, and that's what we're living through. And it's amazing that still people like Lee Camp and I have to struggle to get the truth out, but people like Rachel Maddow, who was fucking literally doing McCarthyite smears on the regular, gets promoted, is the #1 person, and she'll never lose her fucking Facebook page. We know that.
You know how cynical all of this is? Do you remember for 1 week after the election who they blamed Hillary's loss on? It was FBI. No, it wasn't Russia yet. It was the FBI. It was James Comey. For 1 week,
the
they were
Comey
like,
letter.
fucking Comey, reopened the investigation. He lost the election. And then the whole Democratic elites realized, going against the FBI and the deep state is probably not the best idea for us. It was fucking Russia. And for 1 week, they were like, it was fucking Comey. Then Comey became the hero, and they said it's Russia.
Yes, very well said. It's again. And we're living through another Red Scare. I never thought it would happen. I mean, literally, I just saw that Good Night and Good Luck. Well, how many years ago? We just had that Trumbo. What was that other one?
Trumbo, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know what's funny is I saw, they had that movie The Post, right? And so I saw they had the crew with Steven Spielberg, so not the crew, but the cast, and they're all being interviewed. And nobody says, hey, by the way, this is happening right now with Julian Assange, and we should all stand up for him. None of them said that. They all say it's different. They all go, even Tom Hanks is like, no, it's just...
The movie was about Ellsberg releasing the Pentagon Papers, which is now viewed as this historic moment, something he should have done. He's viewed as a hero now. And it's the same thing with Julian Assange, and none of them have the balls to be like, look at Assange. Like,
and by the way, they prosecuted Daniel Ellsberg. He got prosecuted, and so another guy also did too. And thank you very much. Tony Russo went on to be the manager of the White Sox. I'm sorry, it's Tony La Russa. Different guy.
That's right.
That's different. Tony La Russa.
Different guy.
Totally different guy. But he a hero nonetheless.
He was the motherlode of heroes.
Yeah. I love what Maya says. Maya says a top-rated daily news show has spent close to 2 years now devoting a majority of its airtime to proof by assertion and arguments proponing a xenophobic conspiracy theory calculated to benefit a political party. Nothing amiss there, right? Yeah, very well said, Maya. Very well said. And let me just say, this is from one show. I've played this before. This is from one show. Someone put this together. People over at the news something.com. And here we go. Ready? Here we go.
Russia, Vladimir Putin, Russia, hates Russia, Putin, Russia, Moscow, Russia, Russian, pro-Russian, the Russians, Russian, Moscow, Russia, Putin, Russian against us, Russians, Russia against the U.S., the Russians, Russian government scheme. The Russians, Vladimir Putin, Putin and Russia, Moscow, Russia, the Russians, Putin, Russia, the Soviet Empire, the second of the 20th century's great evils, communism, communism, Russia, assault by Russia,
Putin despises the West in general and the United States in particular, the Soviet Empire. Russia. They're the adversary. They want to bring us down, the Soviet Union.
Russia.
Undermine the West, Soviet communists on the left.
Russia. That does it for us tonight. We will see you again tomorrow.
And believe it or not, that program was about Sweden.
also, there are no cuts in that segment. That was straight through.
Rachel Maddow watches James Bond movies like they're documentaries. She's so obsessed with Russia, they filed a restraining order against her. And segment. We're announcing our live dates for 2019. We're going to Chicago and Portland, Seattle, New York, all over the country. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a link for all our tickets to all our shows. It'll be right underneath there, too. Please become a patron if you like our content and help support the show. You can become a patron for $5 a month, and we give you hours of bonus material. And make sure you're subscribed. They unsubscribe people every day. I'm not kidding. Make sure you're subscribed and click that bell so they give you a notice when we drop a video. It's the only thing we can do to fight back against the bastards. Thanks for your support.